Good morning, Mother TheoSophia here. How is everybody on this Saturday? A very unusual day for us to get together. So I feel the heavens have created a nice lecture for you today and more about my experience of healing. You know, as I worked and grew and studied people, not that I ever imposed myself on their journey, but I learned that just from observation, and that's what we're all meant to be and become, our observers. First, most importantly, of our own life, how we act and react and how people interact with us. All those things are telling us about ourselves. It's a huge mirror. And I'm thinking that a majority of you don't use that enough to your best ability. So we're going to talk some about that today. And we're going to, you saw my flame of the green light on my image, which I have to be honest, I haven't worked with that much. To me, that's the color of Mother Mary. And there have been times when I call Mother Mary in at night and ask for her ray, which is the green ray, to come and work through me. So this is what I mean. They've brought a whole new understanding of that ray with Archangel Raphael today to share with you. Whether you want to take part or not, it's up to you. That image I gave you can be found on, let me think. I'll think of it, or I'll leave it in the thing. Because you place that as a poster in your room, and it'll change a lot of things. It'll bring you a piece of serenity and peace and begin to support you on your journey of perceiving yourself. So before I forget and start going and forget where I'm at, let me just say hello to those who've made it this early on a Saturday morning. And good morning, Carol and Rita and Michelle Blakely and Silver 1111. And there's Rita again. And that's pretty much us. Huh? Here's Nancy Aline. Good morning. Well, Lynn, there you are. Good morning. And Barbara Ward. Good morning. So I'm going to take this minute, and I'll try to remember later. If anyone would like to also become a moderator of my channel, let me know, and I can place you in the place you go in the community, and you can begin to help support me. Sometimes on those Mondays, there's a lot of people, and I don't always remember what I miss or what I don't. And certainly helping people remember to subscribe and touch the thumbs up, all those kind of things. Whatever it is moderators do. I don't know, because I don't usually place my energy with something that isn't about my growth. So I'm being told this is about my growth. So if there's anyone there who would like to, you can email me at TheoSophia's Wisdom. It's an S under TheoSophia at gmail.com, or below this video, whichever you'd like to do. So I have my bowl from the other day again, because we're talking about personal healing. And if you remember, this is of indium, and it brings the light into the body. So when you would call on that ray of Raphael, or the ray of Mother Mary, fifth ray, which would also be calling on Hilaron, the Elohim, and it's during the time when we're doing this bowl, it would begin to bring it in through the chakras to support whatever it is that's going on. So first I want to play the bowl. Let's have your bodies, if you can be perceptive enough, begin to tell us which chakra we need to work on, because we're going to work on your perception of yourself. All right? And how will you know? Well, you're going to feel this energy coming down, but that there's some part of you, it isn't moving as freely as all the others. And maybe it's a couple of them. I don't know. I can get you started, but certainly we're not going to clear the path through all generations. I'm going to just start to begin to let you see how healing can look. All right? So let me find my wand. Always helps. So while I'm doing this, you can certainly get involved with the bowl. But otherwise, what we're going to need to do is write down how you feel and perceive yourself. Feelings, we can allow some emotions. But whatever it is that comes up, those are the things that we want to begin to have on our awareness and choose to change. So those are things that you can be thinking of as this bowl comes and works with each of you, okay? We're going to know that we're working in a consciousness of oneness, and that what helps one helps another. My bowl speaking to me a tone that isn't of it. So let me see if I can move things around here. Sounds like a electrical thing, but I'll change the mat it's on. So now just take a breath. Could you hear the difference? There was a little bit of a string of beads on the mat it was on, and that created interference. Interesting, isn't it? How the simplest thing can bring about difference. All right. The journey of awakening is about you. It's not about where you live. It's not about who you know. It's not about who your friends are. Somewhat, you might say, it's not even about your family. You've chosen your family to give you the opportunity to have the greatest growth. Whether that's a positive experience or sometimes a negative one. You know, it's about bringing up what you have yet not been able to heal in other lifetimes. Now, the green ray is about balance and truth. Most people, pretty much all who work with me, have a geometric energy out around them of truth. And it's triangles. So, triangle represents truth and becoming in balance. And as long as you're not, you don't feel complete or fulfilled. It means a discovery of who you've been, what you're about, what your core issues are. You know, it's not like if you're just beginning, it's going to be a one-time thing and you're done and you're on your way. Yes, you're on your way. But for me, and where I've gotten here in 30 years, it's about delving into the consciousness that is out around us, which holds past memories, the physical body, which holds past memories, the consciousness of light we are, and how we radiate ourselves in the process of being here upon Earth, or anywhere else you would have been. You know, none of us are earthlings. We've all began or processed or went to other planets in this world. There's no way to get around it, and I'm so sorry if that upsets someone, but we may have been on Earth a number of times, and we have understood the representation of ourselves within the physical body. But the truth is, we've all are spirit. We were ignited in a flame, male, female flame that became twin flames. You're either the male or female, and someone, whether it's on Earth or in the heavens, is the other part. And in the end, when you move into heaven, the twin flames are always reunited. The time and spirit, if you're in completion, will be as one, not separate. So there's duality to look at. And well, what is duality? Duality is believing that there's something else and us. We're moving into instead unity. And we are part of the one. And you would probably say to me, well, isn't that kind of the same? No, because you're here working on one. Just one. Just you. And there's no more blaming someone else, because even those things that come into our heart and have a severe pain for us wasn't done by someone else. It was done by your perception and how you needed that person right up, snuggled into your heart, or you couldn't live. And that in itself is a lesson to learn. You are the love you're looking for. And I know you've heard it, but did you understand it? That means as you go forward on this journey, you must come to peace with whatever you see reflecting back on you at the mirror. Whoever you are sitting in the kitchen table having discussions, or out with your friends, and what you choose to place yourself in. you must become overwhelmingly in love with that being, or you haven't found love yet. So the journey that we are all really on is about the perception of ourself and deepening our self-love. It lies within our throat. Also, our self-acceptance. And you probably all have a few little things that you might not accept completely about yourself. I've been there, done that. I think you're fooling yourself if you think. And I've heard people tell me, oh, I love myself. Well, perhaps there's a place to love yourself beyond that ego understanding of love, which places you in denial. Denial is one of our greatest healings, a period of time where we walk around with blinders on, seeing all the problems in the world and with everybody else, not being willing to own that they're really within you. So as we work through all these things and love begins to ignite within our heart and we soften, that's the most profound word I have for it. There's a softening and moving into a greater compassion about all things. Now, some people, it can come in a breath and, oh, yes. For others, it's going to be a little bit of due diligence to keep going back, because your journey, no matter how many thousands of times you've returned, has chosen to make it continually more difficult to embrace yourself and to have understanding of it. You know, understanding is a very powerful word. It's about being willing to accept the truth. Now remember, I told you that we were all beings of truth. If you're sitting here listening to me, I have no doubt that you are, from all the people I've met over all the years. So why don't you make a note at some time and write, what does truth mean to you? What does truth mean to you? Well, some of you may have perceptions that truth has to look a certain way, that it's conditional. And that right away tells me your love is conditional, that you've learned to have ways it has to be able to truly, whether it's love yourself or love other people. But truth is about being you. And if it was that easy, there wouldn't be people going thousands of years to discover that truth and to really understand who they are. And I can assure you, it's not who you think you are in this moment. If there's anything the masters and Master DK would keep telling me is, you're not really going to do eventually what you do right now. And I'd go, you're kidding me. I spend all this time and depth and trying to really figure it out. Nope, not going to be it. We have to understand that a piece of what we're going through is to create a depth in ourselves, a depth in how we perceive and look at things. What do I mean by depth? That you see things without them just sitting and waving at you, that they give you understanding. You know, we're told that we only use 10% of the brain. Well, I'm going to say we only use 10% of the development of our ability to raise our consciousness. It is through the consciousness. And you ask me, now what is that? That's your ability to perceive. Lessens the more you stay stuck and do nothing. As you begin to let maybe the bowl touch your heart, or maybe it touch your crown, something relaxes, something opens. Perhaps even something let go. So you can begin to see the world with different eyes. Well, whose eyes? Well, perhaps of your mother, how your mother saw things, or perhaps your father, how he saw things. But beginning, at some point, you're going to begin to see how God sees things. Yep, there's the word. I will understand if you use universe or source or whatever it is, because this isn't about separating you. This is helping you to understand the union of all of us and how we are all together. So I want to get to the bottom here in case anyone has questions for me as I go along here. Deepen the depth of our perception. Yes. So let's talk about what is perception. Well, I can look back at, he's on this side, Merlin, and I can have a perception that comes to me about Merlin. But I know now that as he sits there, I can see him, I see his aura, I see his mastery, and how he worked for eons of time, perhaps with each one of us, to help us grow and to see beyond that which is there. You know, the majority of our world isn't dense. The physical body, as you sit here and see me, is a density. The part of me that is the light, illuminated, is where you want to get to, where not only of me, but of everyone and yourself. And that's having a depth of perception. And as the consciousness raises, the ability of the brain to have interpretation increases. We've always heard that humans don't use the brain that much. But with development of consciousness, it continues to expand. So sometimes I would tap into things and I say, is this time to bring something like this through? No, they're not ready. All that simply says is the consciousness of the whole hasn't yet raised a paradigm of the consciousness high enough to think that that makes any sense. Now, we can look in our world and see that new things are coming and new perceptions. But how many of you really want to believe in that? And there's our question. It's about raising your own, so you could hear. For me, it's a breath that now takes me and expands so I can talk to a deeper level, and hopefully you're feeling something inside of you shift so you can understand the depth of what I'm saying about how consciousness truly grows and expands out and around you, and the mind is always growing. Now listen, in the journey, you learn to bring your mind into the heart. So what I just said is the mind is always growing. Understand it is the capacity of the heart that is truly lifting our consciousness beyond what we can even contemplate today. Now think of that. And I know it's true. I've had students move and we do something that's like we go to Shasta and they come home and the world is just different. How they perceive the world is different. The paradigm of their being is quicker. All the spinning of the cells is quicker. And that's why I always say, the first thing you have to do is increase your light quotient, because those cells become higher, freer, spinning quicker, allowing a more ability of perception to understand yourself, first of all. And as you begin to understand yourself, you see the grouping that you're a part of. You see, it's wonderful. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. You are never stuck. You are never within the walls of your familia. You've actually chosen your familia to break through, to look back and love them for who they are, which is actually you, and to grow. This is where growth begins. I believe if any of you bought my book, there's a chapter on beginning to desire to grow. And that's when a person wants to become more than they are, and even know what that feels like, or what you sense about that. So then we begin to talk about all the gifts that are always given to every soul. It's not that few were picked here and there. You're going to reach to those who maybe over the eons and your lifetimes you've used, but others are always there. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? The gifts hide in the chakras. You know, chakras seem an old concept. Well, concepts are as they are. As consciousness raises, things change. To me, the old perception about chakras is when someone laid on I want to say healing bed, that's not what it is, a massage table, and people just used their hands on the chakras that were there invisible. I began in that time, so I'm like, wow, this just doesn't, I wasn't moved by that. I wasn't experienced by that. And then I found someone who had begun instead to move into the depth of the chakra. Again, I'm using that word depth. And I could see the color of the chakra as she touched me. And I'm like, wow, why is that happening? What that actually means is I was having a perception at the depth of the original flame on the Sushumna that held that chakra. Did I know all that then? No. But I went about figuring it out and seeing it on clients and wondering, how did I get here? What does that look like? So it takes an inquisitive mind, which I guess I do have, to try and figure this out. And then there was one great day. I was told I was having a chiropractor I was in New Jersey and they were in Pennsylvania. They drove over. He came like once a week. It was a male. And he laid on the table and they usually showed me how to do things by having me sit like in a theater up above an operating room. You know how people observe? It was that same kind of thing, and I'd watch. And DG would say to me, here, sit up here with me. And he says, I want you to just look at the right arm and see what you see. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I would always start in that place, like all of you, like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Well, that's the day I learned about all the chakras up above the body. It's like an internet, just like an internet. And I was overwhelmed by how much of the healing of a person are missed because people are here down on the body offering light, but that's it. So these are some of the exciting things that I've come forward with and understood, and how the healing that moves through me and others who've learned work. And one more piece I'm going to go ahead and share is there was one more point. When I sat down for someone and I saw all these flames all over the body. So tell me now, when was the last time you learned that there were 7 flames in each chakra? And to even begin to understand what they were for or what they were. So growth is never, ever ending. I'm still growing and learning today. Every week, my aura shifts as I illuminate with another truth. These things are truth. They're not imagined. They're not real. You know? Yeah. But there's a depth in who I am and who I am as a healer, a teacher, because I'm an investigator. My teacher told me you always need 3 levels of validation before you believe a truth. So let's think about your world. How has that been for you? Do you think about, or do you just assume whatever you hear or whatever you read is true? You know? If you're reading my book, it may not be true for you. You may have a different perception. And I'm always open to hear about that. But some of you may be in a place and go, oh, that can't be. And it's all okay. That's what growth and discovery, and perhaps the words perceiving the self mean a little bit different to you now than maybe they were before we had this discussion. So as we go to, I hope you're all interested in my talk I'm giving. You're all busy. So then we go back to talk about Archangel Raphael, who is known as the healing angel. And he helps us see a vision of truth. I went ahead and brought him into this because so much of who he is about the things I've learned that are truth. You know, I wrote a few things down. I'm not going to remember them all in my head because, like I said, I've never thought of this way. Usually we've learned that the violet flame. Oh, thank you, Michelle. And Rita says she's making many notes. Okay. So we usually use the violet flame to just dissolve blockages. And the violet flame is very powerful. And certainly there's a huge inquiry within yourself you can go into and develop of a deep perception about its power, and how Saint Germain had the courage to go before the board and say, this is necessary. More people need to ascend. And evolution upon this earth isn't happening quick enough. And he was also there the day on July 4th, and he said, sign it, or it may never have happened. You know, there's such a truth from a clear person as it's spoken that it kind of rings inside of you. As I was sleeping last night, which sometimes isn't a lot of sleeping, I have an image of Saint Germain across from me. And I know you might think I'm crazy, but he kept, and when I started throwing me kisses, I'm like, really? And I kept looking, and every time I'd look away and I'd come back, he was still going. What do I do with that? I love the part of me that has that ability. And is it because it's me? No, I think it's because it is Saint Germain. We have a huge portrait of Saint Germain that was in one of the, I think it was Seattle, was in one of their I Am sanctuaries for a very long time. And you know, in those sanctuaries, the big images all end up talking. Their mouths move and they talk. When there's a large group of people that all have that same clarity and that same truth within them, the masters do reveal themselves. So I look down over at the big painting, and then I look back, and this one's going, I mean, yeah, it can get a little strange, but if you can feel there's just so much love that comes toward us, that it's just lifting, it just lifts our heart. It creates a different perception of ourselves still and of our world. I wanted to talk about our world for a minute today because a lot of people has brought it up to me and they're very afraid. And I don't want you to be afraid. Remember, fear is an illusion. It's not real. There are many who are trying to create a fear consciousness. To create a separation versus unity. Unity is within the heart and in a depth of love. So if you can only choose instead to reach into the God experience within you, and I'm not talking about a church or a religion, a cult, anything like that. This is within you. We all have an I Am presence, a God that's there for you. And to reach deep inside and to touch that, know that you are safe and that you will always be protected. And when you get to where you can believe that, thoughts are things. Remember our Remake Your Life journey? Your thoughts are creating your life for tomorrow. So do you understand you cannot allow fear today? You cannot allow wonder, what's the horrible thing that's going to happen, because it isn't. Not in my world. There's going to be miracles. There'll be rainbows galore. The energy's coming in very high. And be a part of that. Be a part of not the wishing, but the knowing of the truth that at least I know I'm not meant to be a part of that. And it's not going to happen in my world. So I hope we can, we're going to unwrap the fabric of fear right now. Wherever it is, what it's fear of, for each of you, it might be different. Let's just let it go and let it move. And whenever you start to feel fear, I want you to let it go. Unwrap it like a black fabric. It's illusion. It's simply an illusion. Fear is an emotion that were made and developed by human when they didn't know what else to do to explain what was happening. Michelle says she experiences truth as a knowing. That's true. That's great. A deep knowing. Good. And if you need to keep going, just keep bringing in another black fabric, because it will do you no good to empower fear. Anything you empower gets larger. So I think I was talking about Archangel Raphael. Yeah. So if you are any type of a practitioner of the healing sorts, working with the green ray of Raphael and Mary would be very powerful for you. And it helps you have a vision of truth. And he'll work with people on sight and vision. It will help you improve your concentration. And here's two I really like. It'll help offer you new ideas and develop your third eye. Third eye is something everybody wants to have. And I don't think I'm wrong about that, because I've just been asked for so many times. It's usually the first thing anyone wants to work on. And I'm not judging it. I'm just saying. So where is your third eye vision inside of you? I'm sure every one of you have walked the earth with it open. So then you got to discover. That's right, Nancy. She says, I feel we also get what we expect. And if we only expect love and light, that's what's going to happen. And that's exactly true. Don't expect any fear. Don't empower any fear. And it won't come into your life. Yes, that did just move me from my thoughts, so I'm so sorry. So the most important thing is that the green ray will support all of you on your discovery path. That's right. We were talking about the third eye, right? Hold on. So we're going to take a minute here, and we're going to imagine a blindfold around your third eye. And let's unleash and let go of the fear of the past of what you might see. That's number one biggest issue. Just let it unravel. I'm afraid to see what might have been. I'm afraid to see me. Who was I? What did I do? I'm afraid. I'm afraid. You know, we've all done everything. We've all loved. We've had families. We've had children. We've been rich. We've been poor. We may have killed. We were killed. You know, it's a process of the human experience here on earth, is to experience all things. And that's why it's called karma. So you can't let yourself get disturbed about going and understanding karma. It's not to go into, oh gosh, I did that. No, it's to remember and know that everything that happens is a lesson. The path becomes a different journey when you understand all things are a lesson. Even things that come up today. Why is it here? Why is God doing this to me? I've heard it so many times. Remember, it's not God doing it to you. He loves you and supports you. He's allowing you to move through your own issues, which are about where you've been, what you've done. And once you can love that piece of you, one of 144,000 parts of you are moving into light. It is another way that you move into a higher light. Okay, I'm just seeing if there's any questions. So as you're doing these healing things, let me play the bowl again to begin to bring the green ray into the body, embracing, loving whatever thought that it is coming to you. Yeah, let it go. Let peace and harmony come inside. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear, there's a lot of sirens here right now. God bless whoever it is and bring them angels and healing if they need it, or moving on if that's what they need. We have to get rid of the judgment, the criticism, the control. So maybe we'll talk about those next time, so I don't get really off subject. Let me make myself a note because I won't always remember. Silver's heart is growing with the green ray. Great. So, the back of the heart is betrayal. It's not only people who betrayed you, it's also your own self-betrayal. So let's take a moment. I want to put a plug for a spigot, turn it on to let all that negativity about yourself and about others, let it go, because any of it and all of it was just a lesson. And when you haven't learned a lesson, we tend to learn by example. That's why it's called Classroom 101 Earth. Because here it gives you the opportunity to experience things and make a choice. So let's let this go. I'm going to do the bowl one more time here. Good. So we do have a question from Rita that, not this time, but what we did before, really cleaned out her solar plexus. And what is that about? That means that the solar plexus is about, I am a child of God. So whatever pieces about that, or about taking care of yourself, something, whatever the thought was you were thinking, released and opened space for more light to come in, which is wonderful. That is the journey. That is the growing and the experience of truth. In truth, we are all children of God. Jesus is our brother. Babaji chose to stay on earth as he and Jesus are brothers to show us that you could live forever and hold the light. Jesus agreed to ascend to show us that we had a way to return home, full of light. So when all these things begin to come to make sense inside of you and you can feel them, you begin to raise consciousness and to become higher in light and move differently in the world and begin to feel the aura of protection around you and the angels and the team of beings you'll have all around you. It's all a journey. So, any questions as we get to 46 minutes later? My talking about perception. I always said that one day I'll write a book about perception because it is about how you perceive things. If you perceive things and, gosh, now I'm down in a hole, no one's going to pull me out, the world's over, how am I going to get there? Then you will create that. You are the creator of your life. The union of your root chakra with God is the creatorship in your world. So the crystal bowl is indium. Silver says, please write another book. Well, I would like to. We'll see how a lot of things have to come all together to do that. I can't do the work on the load I do right now and write a book. Just isn't going to happen. What are the flames within the chakras you mentioned? It's another work. It's called the Petals of Light. And takes everything into another depth. We've learned that word today, right? It's like if you look at the crown and you can see, I see things as a plant. So if that lotus on the crown is kind of, you know how they get mushy and watery on the bottom and they look like they're going to go, well, first thing comes to me, it needs some of the root energy. So I'll go down to the root and get a little ball of red light from the root, bring it all the way up to Sushumna and just open it up over the crown. Yeah, feel that. And they all become rooted and alive to another realm. Good. So that's another whole process, is working with the petal work. So I'm coming and doing these because I want you to get excited. It's not like it's just a nowhere land out there and there's just chakras. There's a whole depth of who you are that can be touched and awakened to really become who you've been meant to be, especially if you run into me. So, and that's not from my ego state. Been there, done that. Here I am. My work is to help serve you. So, there you go. That's what makes my heart feel full. So I hope this discussion helps. That image, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen an image of a green ray. And then it said it would be very powerful as a poster in your room. Give me 1 minute. What site did we find that on?
iStock.
iStock. That's where you can go and find that if you want to, however it is you do it. We have a program, so I don't know what you would need. And put that up in your room. Can you imagine? Well, the violet flame would be just as powerful. We have one little violet flame that flickers and it's alive. I'll have to put that on something for you all to see it. But that's I know if Carol's still on, she knows the first thing I look for is an image, because I want to find something that represents how it is in the world, because that's what at first you're attached to, is what is around you in the world. And as you grow in consciousness, it's going to be that which you can feel within you and without you in the world. Hear the difference? First, we're using human sight. Then we move into using feeling, which is kinesthetic. And then there's going to be a merge of that third eye vision, which will feel. It's a very powerful experience. Let's see what we've got here. Unwrapping the fabric of fear is a magnificent tool because we are so surrounded by people and circumstances fueling fear. Thank you. Now, let me talk about that for a moment. You reach a point where you can't handle a lot of all that input in your field, and you make different choices of who you're around and where you go. You know, we need clarity, or we need to have our boundaries, which is another piece, very strong if we go out into the real world, which we do. But we know we go out and aren't infiltrated with, and we come home the same. And it's all process. So Michelle's taking that word depth away from today. Beautiful messages and bowl healing. Truth, thank you. So, yeah, that's the word to walk away with today. Do you want your feet as deep and down into the center of the earth? Well, here's Grateful Annie. Good morning. Your teaching is so appreciated. I am learning so much. Slightly overwhelmed, but so excited. And I understand, and I'm just bringing it as I'm shown. So maybe there's that piece where everybody needs to grow a little bit. Or I'm going to get told to go back over it again next time. I don't know. But I'm so appreciative for today. And after I say goodbye, I'll play the bowl on my way out. I hope you all have a great weekend. Contemplate you. Maybe write about what do you like, what don't you like about yourself? And then what are the options of what you can do about that? You know, that's how the Ho'oponopono was created. The doctor sat and looked at all 500 people who were in the crazy house. And every time he did one folder, he found it within himself and he loved it and forgave. And everybody was healed. So it doesn't have to be so foreign or so different. There's just so many options. Well, Sandy, today I'm going to support you in knowing there's going to be some wonderful years coming, because you're going to know they're filled with love, number one, appreciation, grace, and happiness, and let that be your thought and nothing else. All right, we'll talk more about it. Nancy says, thank you so very much. Rita, my fault for the day is also, how am I perceiving things? Perfect for where my head was earlier. Hugs and love. Okay, go back, Sandy, and take a look at the beginning. I hope you all enjoy it. Much love. Have a great weekend. Do something that you would love to do, or that lets you feel more love about you. That's how you begin to grow. So, many blessings. I want to play the bowl, bringing all this truth, settling down more within you. I guess we'll talk on Wednesday. Many blessings. Don't forget Monday night, Tuesday Angels. You'll see me. I'll be around. Bye. I have to say good morning to Yolanda. I haven't heard from you a very long time. Many blessings. I hope you enjoy the video. All right, next teaching is Monday night. We gather kind of with an energy like this. We do healing. Please come. It's on Zoom. The word to get in is love, the password. I think you'll really enjoy it. I do angels on Tuesday, And so Wednesday is going to be the next love teaching, and I believe it'll be at 1 p.m. So a little later. Love you. Bye-bye. And happy birthday, Barbara and Nancy, if I interpreted that right. I was kind of talking and looking. Thank you. Bye.